And when we got to the end of the deal, I looked at my check and I looked at my lender's check and I said, good grief, I want to be the lender. And so I set the wheels in motion to become the lender. And now we have lent hundreds of millions of dollars all over the nation. I was not a good student. I did not like school. In fact, I hated it. So I was a good solid C student. And after graduating from high school, I enrolled in community college. And I remember one day, this is 20 plus years ago, I remember I was sitting in a philosophy 101 class, and nothing against philosophy, I'm sure it's lovely and some of you have degrees in it, but I'm sitting in this philosophy 101 class, and the instructor at one point makes the comment to the class, I make $45,000 a year, and I get the summers off. And if you will simply pay attention to me, one day, you can make $45,000 a year and get the summers off. Well, at the moment he had made that statement, I was in the midst of reading Robert Kiyosaki's first book. Some of you have read it, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And that book is very clear that if you want to be rich and successful, you must hang out with rich and successful people. And here I am spending my hard-earned money to learn from this guy who makes $45,000 a year. He's 65 years old. He makes 45 grand a year and he gets summers off. Now, I don't mean to be flippant if you make $45,000 a year or less. I'm simply saying that that was not my plan, my goal, my purpose, and I dropped out of college that day. And I went home and my parents were like, you did what? I said, hey, I've dropped out of college. I've decided I'm going to be a real estate investor. My parents were not real estate investors, never have owned a rental house, never have flipped a house. In fact, the house that they live in to this day, they built from the ground up with cash that my dad would earn as he went to work, borrowed $10,000 from my grandparents. This is back in the 70s. Borrowed $10,000 from my grandparents to put in the foundation, to frame the house, put the roof on, put the windows in, and put the siding up. Yeah, back then you could get all that done for 10 grand. They move our family into this house when my dad has finished off one bedroom and a bathroom and a sink. And we moved in. And for the next 20 years, every time he'd get a paycheck, he'd buy a door. Then he'd get another paycheck and he'd buy a curtain rod, and then he'd get a paycheck and he'd buy a doorknob. And over 20 years, they kind of pieced this house together. They have never once had a mortgage on that property. So where in the world was I ever going to learn how to invest in real estate? The answer was I was going to have to go out and surround myself with somebody who knew how to invest in real estate. Now, fortunately, I worked at a grocery store when I started investing in real estate. I was making $3.90 an hour as a bag boy, bagging groceries. And my shift was 3 to midnight. So I'd come to the store at 3 o'clock and I'd work till 12 midnight and then I'd go home. Nobody who gets home from work, even if you work a normal job 8 to 5, gets home at 5:30 and goes right to bed, right? No, you play with the kids, you watch some TV, you eat some food, and then 3 or 4 hours later you go to bed. So I would get home around 12:30 in the morning and I would watch some shows and eat some food. But this is many, many years ago. If you guys remember shows on TV at 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning, infomercials, yeah. One day I was watching TV and an infomercial pops up that says, hey, if you want to learn how to invest in real estate, come to this hotel ballroom. So I went. And there in that hotel ballroom in a 2-hour presentation, they showed me what I needed to do to be successful in real estate. And I took the plunge and I raced to the back table, and it was way more money than I had ever seen in my life to get involved with this company. And I wrote them a rubber check and I said, I don't know where I'm going to get the money, but if you'll just hold my check, give me 7 days, I'll find the money. Even longer story long, I went out and found, I talked to my mom and dad, grandparents, uncles, aunts, nobody would lend me the money. So finally I refinanced my truck. The only thing that I had that was worth anything, I refinanced my truck to pay for that training. Because if I didn't do that, who's going to teach me? Where would I learn? And what you're looking at on the screen there is my first house. Little 1,100 square foot house $35,000. I had no money. I was broke. My credit cards were maxed out because I was paying to go to community college and paying this philosophy 101 guy money I didn't have, borrowing it. I was broke. But I learned this. If I can go out and find great deals, money is attracted to opportunity. I want you guys to write that statement down. Money is attracted to opportunity. So if you find yourself in a situation today where you don't have any money, it's not because there's anything wrong with you. It's simply because you don't have any opportunities. Well, if you go out and find opportunities like a great deal, you will be overwhelmed with how much money you can attract to yourself. Because money is just looking for somewhere it can go to make friends. And when you go out and find opportunities, money is readily available. So that was my first house, fix it up. The pharmacist at the grocery store that I worked at was my first private money lender. And I remember it took me 6 months because back then I didn't realize what I know now. And I'm out there hanging sheetrock and putting the roof on, and I'm doing all of the plumbing and the electrical work. I'm doing everything. I had no idea you could hire that stuff out, or even worse, you didn't have to do any of those things. So here I am slaving away on this house for 6 months. And when we got to the end of the deal, I looked at my check and I looked at my lender's check and I said, good grief, I want to be the lender. And so I set the wheels in motion to become the lender. And now we have lent hundreds of millions of dollars all over the nation to people just like you, getting started in this business just like you, because we taught them how to go out and find great deals.